Hello guys, welcome to another video. In this video, I would be introducing you to LangSmith. If you have heard about LangSmith and if you are not aware of LangSmith, I recommend you to just stay tuned so that I'll explain you very clearly on what we can do with LangSmith. So we know in the traditional applications, how do we debug? By keeping some logs or based on the output or based on the methods it has called, we can easily track the flow of our code or we can easily debug where exactly is the issue and everything, right? But when it comes with the LLMs, we don't know how the response of the LLMs will be. For the same question, if you trigger the LLM multiple times, the response will be exactly unique multiple times. So for these kind of scenarios, because the output or response from the LLM is unpredictable and tracking every step in these scenarios like agents and drags, it is very difficult. LangChain has come up with a new framework called LangSmith. They have a web UI as well, using which we can trace every step of our LLM code. I'll show you clearly. There are multiple concepts here, and the major concept which we are looking at today is the observability. What is observability? Ability to monitor, debug, and understand your LLM application at every step. So how do we use LangSmith? Like we just have to install the LangSmith package, and then we have to set like in case if you want to trace all your code in a single project, we have to set that LangSmith project name not available with some value. So whatever you trace will go into this particular project only, and then we have an endpoint, and then we have the API key. This is major important. When you create an account in LangSmith, we get this and we have to just copy paste it. That's it. We are just setting environmental variables here. That's it. And today we'll mostly see with the RAG scenarios only, all the tracing and everything with the RAG scenarios. In the next video, I'll show you on how to trace our agents as well using LangGraph. Okay, with using LangGraph we create the agents, right? If you want, I have another playlist for LangGraph, you can watch it. And using LangGraph we create an agent, and in that LangGraph agents we use LangSmith to trace at every step. Okay, so now if you see, I just have a small text. Praveen Reddy is a passionate software engineer with strong enthusiasm for cutting edge technologies. He thrives in fast paced startup, and some details about myself. That's it. Now, without using any framework, how do we query the LLMs? Like let's assume I wanted to use OpenAI. So how do you query the OpenAI LLM without using any Python? We know. If you see here, I just have a method called RAG, inside which I am calling another method, and this method is just returning some content. What is the content? It is returning this particular text. That's it. Now I am creating a prompt. I am not using any of the LangChain inbuilt prompts. I am just using a plain prompt. Answer the user query using only the provided information below, and the information is docs which we got from the above method. That's it. And now I'm using this OpenAI client where we got the connection here, and then I'm triggering. If you see, this is a system message, this is a user query, please answer, and I'm asking this particular model. That's it. And this method will return the response, and that's what I'll get here because I'm calling the RAG here. If you see here, I got the response, right? I got this response. I did not use any tracing here. I did not use any framework. So I did not use any LangChain modules or nothing like that here. It's just a plain Python vanilla code to trigger an OpenAI model. That's it. So now in case if you want to trace it, let's see how we can trace it step by step using LangSmith. Okay. So now if I come to my LangSmith page, you can just click on LangSmith login using some Gmail ID. You will get the API key. That's it. It's just a straightforward setup. I have my two projects. I don't have any of the project yet created. So now let me restart my kernel. That's it. So and then I'll set environmental variables. That's it. So now here if you see, this piece of code is same. I'm just using another method called wrap OpenAI from langsmith.wrappers, inside which I'm passing this OpenAI class. Okay, so what does this particular method does? This particular method will trace every of the LLM call. So wherever you want to query an LLM, you have to use this particular OpenAI client, because now this OpenAI is wrapped using this particular method. So every of this LLM call will be traced. So using this way, we can trace the LLM calls and see or view everything in this LangSmith website. I mean the LangSmith UI. So that's it. Now when I trigger this method, if I come and refresh here, if you see, I got a new project created, YouTube trial 1, and inside which I should have only one OpenAI call. If you see, chart OpenAI, that's it. So this is the input we have given about myself and the answer the user question. See, if you see, this is the input, answer the user question using only the provided information below. That's it. And the input we have given, give me one liner about Praveen, and it has given this output. That is the output which we got printed as well here. Praveen Reddy is a dedicated software engineer. Same output. So we are able to trace the LLM call very clearly, and what is the input, what is the output, how many tokens it has called, everything we can see. So if you come here, not only just the runs, if you see the latency, LLM call type, the status, whether we are able to trigger it or whether it has failed or not, how much time, how much it has costed, how many tokens we are giving, and any metadata. I'll show you what exactly is the metadata, all the default metadata we have got, and if there is any feedback, that one I'll show you how to get the feedback as well. Now if you come here and scroll right, if you see all these details, cost, how much it has cost, everything can be tracked very clearly, right? So now here we are able to trace the LLM calls. What if you want to trace a specific method? Like for suppose if I have a RAG method here, inside which I am doing the same stuff, passing the content to the LLMs and getting the response. So I want to trace this particular method as well. So we have a decorator called Traceable, and if you just call the decorator, we can even do that as well. The same question. Now if I come here, immediately the RAG method has come. The name RAG has come because we have kept the traceable for this RAG method. So the name has come, and if you click here, inside which we have again the LLM call. If you see here, we were using this, and this is again wrapped using the LangSmith wrappers. So that has also come. So we are able to trace both. So when I click on this and click on run, the same thing as before, and we are able to trace this one also. If you see here, this particular method, this is the input for this method, this is the output we got from this method, tokens, everything can be traced, the total tokens, prompt tokens, everything can be traced, right? Similarly, if you want, you can even add for other methods as well. If you see, I have added for the other method as well. And if you see here, this traceable has some options. What is the run type? Default is the chain type. If you want, you can even change as well. Right now, I just mentioned as a retriever. So I'll get here as a retriever. Okay. And again, if you check, we can even pass the metadata information as well, which I'll show below. And if you want to name, you can name that as well, like the name which comes here. If you want to give any specific name, you can even name that as well. All this can be done. So now, in case if you want to pass some extra details like run ID and all those things, you can even do that as well. So I'm using this UUID from Python. I'm just creating some unique ID and converting into string type, and I'm just passing that. Okay, while calling, I'm just passing an extra parameter called LangSmith extra and passing the run ID. Now if you see here, when I execute the same, let me execute this particular method, because we can trace even the retriever as well. And instead of calling the plain RAG method, we'll call with this LangSmith extra. Now this unique ID will be come up over here as well. So if you see, it's loaded. This particular RAG method, see the retriever has also come. If you see here, this is a unique ID which we got, right? So that has come here. That's it. Now if you see, we have one more option. Let's assume we are building some application using this agents or anything, like using these LLMs, and let's assume we have designed our code in a way that when the response is something like that, then we want to rank it as best, and when the response is something weird, then we want to rank it as or score it as 0, something like that. In case if you want to pass some feedback based on the output we get from that LLM code, even that can be done using this particular piece of code. If you see from LangSmith import client, we got this client connection, client.create feedback if you do, and any run ID, that's it, the same run ID we'll use. And then if you see user score equal to 1 I gave. I mean, we can build an application so that when it comes to if block this, if you come to else block, then user score will be 0. If it comes to else if, then user score will be 0.5. Based on that, we can easily score the output, right? That for that kind of scenarios I'm talking about. And then if you see, when I execute this, the feedback has been sent again. So now if I come here and if I click on feedback, If you see, the user score 1 has come, so that we can even filter everything. So now if I come to runs here, we can even add filters, everything here, so that our team will be working on this. And if you want to filter out based on the user ID or anything, we can be done. If you see here, I just add filter based on some input. With using all this, we can filter status, latency, and everything, run ID and everything. If you give the run ID value, our specific run will come. And in case if you give any other information using metadata, see, if you see here, we got a feedback score here, key, user score, what is the value? 1. And when you see, we got only 1 output, because this has a user score as 1 in the feedback. That's it. So this is how we can even filter the response from the UI. That's it. So now you understand how we can trace each and every of the LLM call. Now guys, if you observe here, every LLM call is being traced. Is it because we have traceable on this RAG method? No, it is because we are using OpenAI client, and OpenAI client is using this wrap OpenAI. Because of this LLM call is, if you just remove and keep just plain OpenAI, then this particular step will be ignored, because we don't have traceable for this step. Only this particular RAG step will be traced. So now there are some other ways using which we can trace as well. If you see here, like in case if you want to trace any specific step alone in your code, we can even do that as well. If you see here, I have a client, I have wrapped it using this wrap OpenAI from LangSmith. Then I have a simple question, hello, how are you? And then I have this chart pipeline inside which I am calling an LLM. If you see this client I am calling, that's it. Based on this question, it has to respond. Now I want to trace only this particular method alone. In my huge code, I don't want any other piece of code to be traced. You can even do that as well. If you see this, what is ls? From I have imported LangSmith as ls. ls.trace, and what is the name you want to give? So if you see this trace method, the first argument is a name, and the second is a run type. If you see, it is a chain type, and what is the project name you want it to be in? I want it to be in this YouTube trail one only. That's it. And what is the input you want to give? So that when you trace, you'll get the input, right? That input value will come here. So I want it to have this particular input, hello, how are you? That's it. And now I am using this particular method, and that our response, I am again adding it as an output. If you see, I have opened this trace using RT, and I am just ending it, rt.end, the output. So now if I execute this, we should get another call, but before that we have to just remove the filter. If you see the chart pipeline has come, hello, how are you? This is the input we have given, and all this information is traced. And what is the output? We got it. See the output, okay? The output message and everything has come up here. That's it. So this is how we can even trace the specific piece of code as well using LangSmith. Now guys, here comes the major part. We have another functionality called run tree API, using which we can trace every step in our code. Let's take some real-time RAG scenario and test it, okay? Before that, let's look at some of the points. If you see, RAG tree API bypasses the automatic traceable and wrapper approaches. So you can either use this traceable, or else if you want to trace step by step, then you can go with this RAG tree API from LangSmith as well. If you see, RAG tree represents the overall pipeline, like complete RAG pipeline. I'll show you with the example, then you'll understand. You can use like create child, like you can create some, like in the RAG scenario, retrieval is one step, right? Embedding is another step. Calling the LLM is another step. So all these three will become the childs as well. So there is some standard way of coding for this run tree. Using that, we can even trace every step in our RAG. Okay, so let's not look into this and confuse. Let's come here. I've just imported the liquid libraries. That's it. Now this is my question. What is the increase in the percentage of the quarterly results? So this is my piece of text file. I'm talking about Chinovino Soft organization. It has 15% increase in the revenue compared to the previous quarter, and some other information. My question is, what is the increase in the revenue, right? So this is my question. This is my document. Now if you see here, the first thing what we do when we get a file in LangChain or in RAG application, we split it. So this is the method, we load and split. We are loading that particular text file, and then we are splitting it using the character text splitter. And then we are returning the split information so that we can embed in the next step. So this is the first step in the RAG. Now, if you see, when you use this RAG tree and you want to trace the whole code, we have to first create a pipeline. If you see, pipeline equal to RAG tree, and what is the name of that pipeline, what is the run type, what is the input, this query is the input, and that's it. And once you create a pipeline, you have to call this particular method, pipeline.post. That's it. So this will be the master one. Inside this, for every step we have to create the child. So for load and split, we have to create one child again. If you see here, this pipeline, which is the master dot create child, we have done. What is the name? What is the runtime tool calling here? And then the input, whatever you want to give. Right now I'm just giving the hard coded value in my docs.txt as an input, and that's it. So I just created an child here and assign it to this variable called loader.post. Now after my piece of code is done, I have to end it. Loader.end of what should be the output you want. Right now I just gave the length of this docs. That's it. I did not give anything here. The content I haven't given. I just want the output to be length of docs. That's it. And loader.patch. So when I execute this is my first let me import the libraries. This is my first query. This is my pipeline I have started. Run tree is not defined. If you see, I've created the pipeline. That's it. Now if you see, this is the next step. I'm creating a child for load and split step alone, nothing else. So when I execute this, so now if I come here and see, my QA pipeline has come. Okay, this is the pipeline. Why it has got the QA pipeline? Because the name here is a QA pipeline. See, the first tree has created QA pipeline, inside which all the steps will come. So this is my master and this is my input, and the output did I give? No, I haven't called the output yet, because I just created this pipeline. I am using this pipeline to create the multiple childs, and first child is just loading and splitting, and the output I am returning to this child is just giving the number of documents it has splitted. So when I click here, this is the input. It has split into only one document again. That's it. Now if I execute the next step, in this step what am I doing? I'm just embedding using the OpenAI embedding. That's it. And I'm just filtering out the top 2 records based on my user query. That's based on this user query, fetch the top 2 records from this vector in-memory vector database called Chroma. That's it. And now if you see, again for this step, I'm just creating another child pipeline with using this pipeline.create child, the name, run type, input and all. And then if you see, I've started it with the ranker.post, and that's it. I called my piece of rag code and I got the response, and that response I'm just appending it here. That's it. And if you see, ranker.end, what is the output you want, and ranker.patch, the same as above. This is like the standard course. While creating a child pipeline, you have to have .post. While ending the child pipeline, you have to have this. So when I execute this, see, my another steps gets loaded here. When I refresh here, why it isn't happening? I got some error, so I have to just I guess this OpenAI package I have imported from something else, from langchain.embeddings. No, langchain OpenAI, import this one. So now when I execute this particular step, there is no error. And if I come here, I've executed 2 times, so we got 2 executions here. The same piece of code I executed twice. See, we are able to take this step also. So I guess you guys are able to understand the purpose of this run tree class as well. I mean, the purpose of having these pipelines, like using this run tree, we create a master pipeline inside which we create multiple childs and we trace every step in our code. Like that's why I've used the RAG scenario. And then the next thing is the prompt building and giving it that to the LLM, right? So using this particular method, I'm just creating the prompt, and here I'm creating another child and I named it as build prompt. That's it, input. And while creating the child, we use .post, and then this is my RAG code to build the prompt, and this is ended. I'm just returning it with the output, right? So when I execute this, if you see here, it is loaded now, build prompt, because that's what we have given the name here. That's it. And the output is the prompt we got. That's it. Now if you see again, and again I want to create another child where I'm calling the LLM, right? So again I created another pipeline.create child, the name, run type and inputs. Like the parameters here are like, we don't need to pass these 2 as well. We'll get null if we don't pass input, and we just have to pass the name alone. What should be the name of this particular internal child pipeline? Okay, for this QA pipeline, what should be the name of this internal child? That's it, we have to pass. And then .post, and this is our LLM calls, and that response I am again appending as an output. So if I execute this, my final step will also come. Now it's loading. If you see, my final LLM call has also happened. We got it. So here we were able to trace each and every step of our LLM application, right? And then we were able to, we have another step called monitoring here, using which we can even monitor as well. If you see last 1 hour, if I click on, we are able to, like, how many times we have done an LLM call, like how long it took, everything can be monitored using this particular graphs here. And then we can even filter out based on this user also. If you see here, I guess I forgot to show you. If you see here, while calling this particular RAG method, we can even pass some extra metadata information. If you see here, I'll just run this. And here, if you see, I'm passing metadata information is user ID Praveen. And when I do this, and when I come to runs here, I guess, let me refresh this page. I got it. And if you come here in the metadata, we got user ID as Praveen. And now we can even filter this one as well based on the user ID. If you see here, using metadata, what is the key, user ID, what is the value, Praveen. See, like that. Like, we can pass some explicit metadata in case if whole team is working on the same application, like that. So you can filter each and every, the major purpose here is we are able to trace each and every step of our GenAI code using this LangSmith module. If you see, we have multiple scenarios on how we can trace it. You can either build a tree using run tree. Like, first we have to create a master pipeline, and then we have to create a multiple childs using that way, or else we can just use this decorator to trace a specific method as well. And last but not the least, the third one is, if in case if you want to trace only specific piece of code, you can even do that using this ls.trace, by opening it and just keep whatever you want to it and then end it. That's it. So these are the multiple ways using which we can trace or observe or our GenAI application, so that we'll understand what is the behavior of our code at every step, because LLMs are involved here and we can't always predict the same output every time. So to trace or to send the feedbacks and to observe our step, everything, this LangSmith works wonderful. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.